I know after this week you're officially no longer a Tory again, but what do you think of this Privileges Committee attempt to, I believe, destroy the political career of Boris Johnson, Anne?
First of all, it was flawed from the start because so many people on that committee have already expressed opinions about Boris and whether he's a liar or not.
Yep.
And
including the chairwoman.
Including the chairwoman. And WhatsApp messages.
Yeah,
including the chairman, Harriet Harman. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, first of all, I don't think the committee is as sufficiently impartial. Secondly, I cannot get excited, and I think I've said this on this programme before, I cannot get excited about that wretched piece of birthday cake. He was in a room with people that he'd been working with all day, and they sat down round a table as they had been doing all day. And they got out some birthday cake to celebrate Boris's birthday. And interestingly, when I was on a programme earlier today, one in which viewers could respond, a man actually telephoned the programme to say, well, he'd celebrated his retirement during COVID in exactly the same way with people that he'd been working with all the time. It's not as if Boris went out into the highways and byways and asked people to come to the party who might have been bringing in COVID. They were people he was with all day, and if they were going to give each other COVID, they'd already done it.
And don't you think there's also something at stake democratically here? Because why should this committee be able to decide if Boris recklessly misled Parliament? That is not a legal term that I believe, after seeing the hearing today, is going to be possible for them to prove. And the issue is, Anne, if they do recommend a suspension of over 10 days and Parliament votes that through, which they may well, because remember, there's a lot of people in the Conservative Party who want to see Boris Johnson finished off as well, including all the allies of Rishi Sunak, the current Prime Minister, he could face a recall petition. So
well,
there's a real consequence
if the suspension is that long. And I agree with you entirely. I mean, this notion, that he intentionally misled Parliament or recklessly misled Parliament or whatever it was, that he misled Parliament, I don't think there's much doubt about. The question is, what was in his mind at the time? And only God and Boris Johnson know that. And I think trying to prove the unprovable, which is to say the intention in his mind, is just not viable. I think this is a nonsense committee doing a nonsense job. And I was quite impressed with Boris's defence today. As he said, these were people he'd been working with, and up and down the country we were being told, if you couldn't work from home, go to work, and if practicable, socially distanced, but if you couldn't socially distance, do something else, etc., etc. Loads of people up and down the country will have had a sandwich or something together and thought nothing of it. They would have thought it was a work event. Contrast that with Keir Starmer, who got away with actually a party.
He was downing beer.
Campaigning with people he hadn't been working with all day. Campaigning. And then he has a party with beer and curry and goodness knows what else. Now that, to my mind, was a much bigger breach than Boris with people, work colleagues, for heaven's sake.